Say kickoff and talk to you, right? So.
Are we live? Right.
Hi, everyone. So before our regular meetings, we have, just a quick committee of adjustment meeting that we're gonna do real quick. So I will start out with the opening meeting and the land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held in the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin-Mississauga Nation. I'm sure we didn't want to chair, right?
So we have to do it on an annual basis, so first thing
Okay.
you wanna.
So it's not that we're looking for a new chair because of any complaints received to date. We just thought maybe someone else might want an opportunity. If you want to still be on, so I just wanted to put that out there for discussion.
I think you did a great job, if you don't mind doing it again.
Thanks, Brian. Does anybody want to take over or, seeing none, so okay,
Perfect.
I've been voluntold, so that's
Awesome.
I'll jot my name down back down and again.
Okay.
Somebody move that and second that for us.
I'll move it.
I'll second. I'll third it.
So I guess we're all in favor. All in favor? Yes, yeah, there we go. Okay, perfect. So introduction, you want me to just go right into that person, I
Yes,
guess? So the introduction is the purpose of this public meeting is to hear the following application for a minor variance, A 23-003, Parks and Donaldson Parks. The committee is charged with making a decision on this application noted on this agenda. The decision will be based on both oral and written input received and understandings gained. The four main factors on which decisions are based include: is the application generally in keeping with the intent of the township's official plan? Is the application generally in keeping with the intent of the township's zoning bylaw? Is the application desirable for the appropriate development or use of the site? Is the application minor in nature and scope? The junior planner will provide a brief overview of the details on the file. The applicant will be given the opportunity to explain the need for the variance. Then any person or public body in opposition and in favor to the application will be heard. If a person or public body does not make oral or written submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Montague before the decision is passed, the person or public body may not be added to the hearing of an appeal before the Ontario Land Tribunal, OLT, unless, in the opinion of the tribunal, there are reasonable grounds to do so. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Committee of the Adjustment with respect to the below listed applications, you must submit a written request to the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment at planner@township.montague.on.ca, that's Kirsten, or you must sign the attendance list provided at this evening's meeting. This will also entitle you to be advised of a possible OLT hearing. Even if you are the successful party, you should request a copy of the decision, since the Committee of Adjustment decision may be appealed to the OLT by the applicant or another member of the public. The Secretary Treasurer must provide notice of the committee's decision to all those who request a copy. Anyone may appeal the decision to the OLT by filing with the Secretary Treasurer within 20 days of notice of the decision. At this time, I'm going to ask, is there any disclosure of pecuniary interests and or conflict of interest to this file from the committee? I see none, which is good.
No.
So for the approval of the agenda, the suggested motion is that the agenda be adopted as presented. Can I have a mover? So Brian and a seconder, Karen, all in favor? Everybody's in favor. So the applications, do I keep going?
Approval of minutes.
Yes, you're right. So the approval minutes, the suggested motion is that the Committee of the Adjustment minutes dated June 20th, so the past ones, 2023, be accepted as presented. A mover, Tom and Brian, all in favor, and that's carried. Now we're at the applications.
Yes.
Take it away, Kirsten.
Thank you. And the applicants are here this evening. Okay, so this file is minor variance for Parks and Donaldson Parks. Property located at 2549 Rosedale Road North. So this might seem a little bit a resemblant of our meeting last year in June, where we had a similar type of an application with a request for an increased separation distance between the primary and the proposed second dwelling. So if this sounds a little bit familiar, there's a reason for it. So the cost of purchasing a home or buying a property and building a home can make home ownership a difficult reality, especially for young people starting out or for aging parents who want to live independently but close to their children. And in 2021, Montague Township recognized the need for housing alternatives and passed a zoning amendment to allow for second dwellings under certain circumstances. Some of those are that the property permits a single detached dwelling as a principal use. The property has to have legal road access. The development that is being proposed for the second dwelling has to be in compliance with the provisions of the zone in which it is located, for example, lot coverage and yard setbacks. There are certain areas where development would not be permitted, such as within a wetland or a floodplain. The second dwelling is required to share the existing entrance that the primary dwelling is utilizing. And our zoning amendment also provides that the second dwelling is to be located within 30 meters of the primary dwelling. The applicants in this file are asking for a variance to build a second dwelling. Their property is approximately 12 acres, 4.9 hectares. Address again is 2549 Rosedale Road North. The second home would be accessed by the existing entrance, but would be serviced by separate services for well and septic. And the variance requested is to increase the separation distance from 30 meters to 39. I think it's 38.8, but I rounded it to 39. Staff have reviewed the official plan mapping for this property. There are no natural heritage features or development constraints that would affect this proposed development of a second dwelling. Section 3.3 of the report that was circulated for this hearing addresses the zone specific requirements related to the yard setbacks and the lot coverage. The proposal by Parks and Donaldson Parks meets with all of these parameters. The application was also circulated to township staff. No concerns were raised. And the application was also circulated to the public agencies noted in the Planning Act. Following preparation of the report before you, RVCA did provide correspondence, but they have no objections to the proposal. Notice of this application was also circulated to all landowners within 60 meters of the property. No comments of concern were received, but a letter of support was provided from a neighbor, I believe, across the road, and a copy of that letter of support was attached to the planning report. Notice of the public meeting was also posted on the township's website and a laminated copy at the subject property. When we're looking at applications for minor variance, as stated at the beginning of the meeting, we look at the 4-prong test in the Planning Act. And the first question is whether or not the application meets with the intent of the township's official plan. The subject property is located in the rural designation of our official plan, which does permit residential development and also requires that natural heritage features be protected and hazards avoided. And as stated earlier, there were no natural heritage features or hazards in this vicinity. So staff feels that these points have been adequately addressed and the proposal meets with the intent of the official plan. The second question is whether or not the application meets with the intent of the zoning bylaw. The subject property is located in the rural zone. Single detached dwellings are permitted primary uses. The second dwelling will share the existing entrance that is currently in use, and the variance solely relates to the separation distance between the primary and proposed second dwelling. Request of 39 meters as opposed to the established 30. The proposed development location is in an area that is ideal. It is clear vegetation. The grade is relatively flat. So there would be not a lot of change to the landscape in order to approve this development. So staff feels that these points have been adequately addressed and the proposal meets with the intent of the township's zoning bylaw. The third question is whether or not the proposal is desirable or appropriate. And the development proposed is for a second dwelling located on a maintained township road in an area of like development. And as we're all aware, the current housing crisis makes it important for municipalities to look at the opportunities that would be available and the housing options in areas where it can be accommodated. And Montague Township was quick on the bandwagon in 2021 when they passed that zoning amendment allowing for second and secondary dwellings. So staff are of the opinion that the proposal is desirable and is an appropriate use of the land. Again, no comments of concern were received by staff from any neighbors that were circulated on this application. The fourth question is whether or not the proposal is minor and how this proposal might impact adjacent landowners and the neighborhood as a whole. The proposed dwelling is not anticipated to negatively impact anyone, nor would it be negatively impacted by adjacent or nearby uses. So, I will read the recommendation in the report, which states, based on the above information and the conditions suggested below, the increased separation distance of 39 meters proposed in application A 23-003, Parks and Donaldson Parks, would meet the four tests for evaluating a minor variance as established under the Planning Act. Staff would accordingly recommend that the variance requested to accommodate the proposed relief from the established 30-meter separation distance to the requested 39-meter separation distance between the existing single detached dwelling and the proposed second dwelling be granted, provided the committee is satisfied that any issues raised during the public meeting do not require further evaluation, the submission of additional information, or the application of conditions other than as follows. Number one, the variance is solely for relief from the separation distance between the primary and second dwelling, increased from 30 meters to 39 meters to permit the construction of the second dwelling. The minor variance is approved based on the sketch submitted with the application. The applicant is required to obtain all required building and septic permits from the Township of Montague, and the applicant is required to obtain a civic address for the second dwelling from the Township of Montague. That is all I have here. So in the agenda, you'll see the recommended decision, so. Yeah, and again, the applicants are here, so I'm not sure if you have any questions for the applicants or if the applicants would like to speak, so I will turn it back over to you.
Perfect, thanks for sort of all of that.
I think I did it in one breath.
I think it's good. I mean, it's a great thing we have a letter of support from from a neighbor. You don't really hear that very often, which is great. And really, it's a 30 meter to a 39. We had the 30 meters is set up to make sure that things weren't 2 miles away. So I think it seems like a pretty simple one. I mean, the applicants, if you have anything you want to say or comments, feel free.
No.
She did a great job.
We love to hear that. That's fantastic. So the applicants are happy and Kirsten did a great job, and I think we're on the right track. So any other comments that we have to worry about at all?
No, there weren't. Well, the written submission was attached to the report. That was the letter of support. But there's nothing further that's been received.
Well, let's close this up and get a house
So
vote
now
then, I
it's up to the committee
guess.
to
That's what we're
make
gonna
their
do, right?
decision.
So I guess the recommended decision
Yeah,
is that in the matter of the application under section 45, 1 of the Planning Act, RSO 1990 CP 13 as amended, that the minor variance application A 23-003 is approved to allow for a variance from the requirements of section 3.19 secondary dwelling units and second dwellings of zoning bylaw 3478-2015 for the lands municipality described as 2549 Rosedale Road North and legally described as part of lot 19, concession 8, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, designated as part 4 on 27R-8090. Roll number 0901-000-025-16207 to permit the construction of a second dwelling at distance of 39 meters from the primary dwelling rather than 30 meters required, subject to the following conditions. The variance is solely for the relief of the separation distance between the primary and secondary dwelling increased from 30 to 39 meters to permit the construction of a second dwelling. The minor variance is approved based on the sketch submitted within the application. The applicant is required to obtain all required building and septic permits from the Township of Montague. The applicant is required to obtain a civic address for the second dwelling for the Township of Montague. Do we need a mover and a seconder? So I have a mover, Mr. Gibbs, and I'll let Mr. Abbas second that, and all in favor? Easy peasy. That's it for that one. So we have no other new or other business. Congratulations, and we look forward to I can go build the next house.
Yeah.
And for adjournment, can I have a mover? Karen?
Before we
Yes.
adjourn, maybe you should, because we passed it now, it's not legal until the time is passed.
Yeah, there's a 20-day appeal
Yeah,
period.
so since we're on camera, so the other people in the township would know. If they have a 20-day,
You have 20 days if if anybody would like to have an appeal.
but it's 20 days before this is official.
So the decision is issued this evening, but there is a 20-day appeal period from the date of the decision. If someone were to,
Decision pending.
yeah, so, yeah.
Decision pending, yeah, for 20
But-
days, 20 days.
Yeah,
So,
considering the applicants are the only people that have attended and provided any comments, it's unlikely that that will happen. And they're not gonna appeal their own decision, so.
No, And this,
But
and
it
this,
is
and
a
this truly
formality.
fits exactly what we had set up in Montague too as well. So I mean, there's really no, yeah, so there's a full support there for sure, so.
Yeah. So 20 days, and then if no appeal is received, the decision is final and
Final.
binding.
Then we start building.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's one before I start too.
Fair enough.
So I believe Karen had made the motion, and who was the seconder for that?
Tom,
Tom.
all in favor? Okay, good. So that was it. So that the committee of the adjustment meeting, we adjourned at 6:16 PM.
Perfect.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. thank
Give us a
you.
couple minutes and we'll switch over to our regular.
So we'll start our regular meeting of council in person and live streamed electronically Tuesday, January 16th, 2024. Immediately following the Committee of Adjustment meeting, we held at 6 p.m. Opening of our meeting is the land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that this sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. I'll ask for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Before I move to the adoption of the agenda, I just want to publicly thank our Public Works Department and all the crew. The amount of snow we've been having lately, greatly appreciate the fact that they've had many hours, appreciate the families as well. So thank you very much to the crew. So our adoption of agenda, moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that the regular meeting of council agenda dated January 16th, 2024 be approved as amended this date to move information item 8A to action. All in favor? And that's carried. A disclosure of interest now at any time during our meeting, minutes of our previous meeting. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny that the minutes of the regular meeting of council dated December 19th, 2023 be approved as presented. All in favor? And that's carried. Any business arising from our previous meeting? No. So no delegations or deputations. So our first is a report of the municipal officers. That's our clerk, administrator, treasurer, Allison, for our final budget.
Thank you, Chair. So in front of you this evening is the final 2024 budget or operating capital expenditures and revenues for the 2024 year. So there were a couple of adjustments from the draft budget meeting. One was to increase the per diems for council and the meal allowance, which we have brought forth the policy to make that adjustment. And we took off the $200,000 capital project for Van Exen tar and chip that was coming from gas tax reserves. There is a slight change. The draft budget was a 3.55%. Based on a 2% of new assessment. Our overall, once we got our roll book in December, it was a 1.96% change in new assessment. So that 0.04, that was the difference. So our overall is a 3.59%, just based on the slight adjustment from new assessment. Other than that, everything this evening is presented is the same as from the draft. So $100,000 assessment, which we do have a number of homes in Montague, they're 100,000 or less in assessment, would see a $27.25 increase on their 2024 taxes. A $300,000 assessment would see $81.75 for the year, and a $500,000 assessed home would see $136.25. Again, keeping in mind that this is just the lower tier taxes, not the county or the school board. And there could be a slight change as far as the tax rates whenever at the county you set the ratios, and depending if there's any kind of adjustments from the commercial and industrial side, it could adjust the residential tax rates somewhat as well. So this is, again, budget. Water and sewer has not been presented yet. We're waiting on Smiths Falls. Right now, they're indicating that they're bringing forward a 5.5% increase in water and a 3.5% increase in sewer for the 2024 year. So once we get that, we will be bringing forward the budget quickly to council because our March 1 billing is January. So that's the first billing of the year.
So any questions before I read? No. Okay, so moved by Councillor Kenny and seconded by Councillor Abbas that council adopt the 2024 final budget presented this date as the estimates for the operating and capital expenditures and revenues for the 2024 year. All in favor? And that's carried. Next is the administrator treasurer regarding our 284-09 PSAB reporting for the 2024 budget.
So thank you, Chair. So this is a regulated report that we have to bring to council. We do cash basis type accounting whenever we're doing our budget. This is more of an accrual side, the PSAB. So it takes into account amortization, which we don't budget for. We budget for the capital expenditure side, post-employment benefit costs, and solid waste landfill post closures. So we don't have post-employment benefit costs and we don't have solid waste. So it's strictly the amortization. This is not a financial impact whatsoever. It's a good indicator though on replacement, what we're putting aside to replace and what our actual costs are. And you will see, we have a shortfall of about 40,000, but we're actually sitting in a really good position. There's a lot of municipalities that have hundreds of thousands of dollars of shortfall. So we're working in the right direction.
So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council receives the OREG 284-09 2024 budget report, and that council adopts the OREG 284-09 report, which meets the requirements of Ontario Regulation 284-09 and outlines the preparation of the 2024 operating and capital budgets to a public sector accounting board compliant format. All in favor? And that's carried. And our next report is our clerk administrator on amendments to the establishing and regulating of a fire department bylaw 3795-2020. Oh, sorry, this one. Clerk. Municipal donation allocations report 2024 update.
Thank you, Chair. Council or Committee of the Whole did receive a report in relation to donations back in December. We had a number of groups put in applications. There were two that committee had requested additional information to come back. One was from the Rural FASD Support Network. They had a request of $5,000. Committee requested that a presentation come forward, which we had at our December 19th meeting. And also the Rideau Search and Rescue, the request for the $750 to purchase tents. There was a request from committee to see if they had requested anything from any other municipalities. So the response was that from Rideau Search and Rescue that they had not requested from any other municipalities. They were just kind of getting into the game of looking for those municipal grants. And that they would be asking for others moving forward once they knew who had what available. Rural FASD did come and present. In their original application, the $5,000 was to go towards the chip timing of the road running race that they wanted to put on in Montague. At the presentation, Rob did indicate that they were no longer going to do the chip timing and that they were just going to have a fun run. And there was not really any indication on where that $5,000 was going to go moving forward. So this evening in front of council is decision to make on the two requests that were outstanding, and also to keep in mind that we had discussed potential $1,000 for summer day camp if we can get summer students, which our application for the grants for that is due tomorrow. So there are a number of options on what council would like to do and move forward. And we're just looking for direction.
I'll open it up for discussion. Okay. So I think with the change in the race, the funding wasn't required then, with not having the chip counter. There was no clear ask then for anything different. I certainly am in favor of the hall use in kind. That's not a problem. The fire and rescue, it's not a large request. I would like to see some other municipalities also being requested for funding. So whether we want to give them any this year or just say, come back next year when they've applied to all of them, and definitely supportive of our summer camp of the request for that one. So. Anybody else have anything different?
I completely agree with you, because they didn't tell us where the money would be going, so as far as the $5,000, if we don't know where it's going, I agree with you, should give him the hall and whatever resources that. The Rideau Search and Rescue, I wouldn't see why we couldn't give them something, even if it's just $250 for this year, and say, okay, next year, if you approach it with a different je ne sais quoi, a little more effort to the other municipalities, maybe go with that. And as far as the camps, I wouldn't see why we couldn't even donate more. I think that's actually putting back into the community. So I wouldn't see if we donate $2,000, whether it gets used or not. And that's just my opinion on that, just because it's going back to the community itself as a whole. and, helping out, families in the local community.
Okay, so there's a second of it.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, being kind is a great idea. I'm indifferent on the search and rescue. I mean, I think that it's a great organization. I know people that have been part of it, and maybe it's something that we want to try to, say like, especially if we're the first ones they actually have applied to, then we want to keep them, like, when the call is for them to be there, we want to make sure they're there. I mean, just, yeah, like the summer camp money, there's money there. We're gonna have that $5,000 there. We can make a decision throughout the year of what, we can do or what it gives us that little bit of freedom to do that through the year. So I think it's a great suggestion too as well. So I guess the biggest question, like, I think being kind is probably the way to go. And then do we want to, I think Gerald's suggestion of the 250 for towards Rideau Search and Rescue,
I'm fine with that.
I'm good with that. If it's, then we kind of hold on to the rest for.
Would you just to show a little bit of faith and say, hey, if you want to do some more actual effort, and maybe we see what the other municipalities, and maybe it's only, if it's split between a bunch of municipalities, it might only be $100 next time, but it's all municipalities together.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah, I like that idea, giving 250. And the same thing with giving a couple $1,000s to since it's the township. My only thought on the other one was that they were asking 5,000 and they're not doing exactly what they were doing. Are they still not doing something here that was possibly doing $500 to give them something like,
We know they're doing the run,
yeah.
but I don't know.
We're also
what's-
collecting funds from the run.
Okay.
I believe it's
It just seems like a very good organization.
It is
They're
great.
trying with the word used. I just thought that we maybe should give them something towards it. That was not, it doesn't have to be a large sum.
And I agree. I think because there's that change, I think if we started with the in-kind from Rosedale Hall, we still have that money still sitting there. So if they come back and say, well, what if we could have this, maybe whatever nominal value might be, then we still have that freedom, right? We're not like
Okay,
locking
that's
it
fine.
now, right? Like, that's still gonna sit there, so.
That's good.
So I'm putting the 2,000 in for summer camp? Or we're leaving it at 1,000, and if we need more, then we're going back?
We have to wait till we know if we have students.
We wanna see what we're gonna do. with
Yeah,
it.
no, but
I think the thing for us is that, so we don't have to bring a report back, that if we get students, that we know we can start planning it, that we know that there's
Yeah.
some funds for us, would be great. That's where the $1,000, like, we know there's some funds. If we are fortunate and get students through our grant that we are able to put on additional, then we can come back and ask for additional money. It's just more so that we know that if we get it, we can start planning immediately. Even just with that small amount.
So is 1,000 enough, or did you want 2,000?
Yeah, because if we get the students, we'll come back with something with a plan
We'll just-
of what we might be looking for.
So for that pot, and that we did this,
Yeah.
we can change that in a month now, so add it for. Perfect.
So option 3,
option 3,
which is provide a portion of the correct amount to rural FASD.
yeah,
And it'll be the hall rental.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council approve option 3 as presented this date with an approved donation amount of 0 to rural FASD plus the use of Rosedale Hall free of charge, as long as it is available on the date of the event. $250 to Rideau Search and Rescue and $1,000 to the summer day camp. All in favor? And that's carried. Now we'll go to the next one, which was the amendment to the establishing and regulating a fire department bylaw 3795/2020.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a housekeeping item. A previous bylaw was amended that was repealed. So we need to amend the bylaw that's actually currently in place, which is 3795-2020. For something that council has already approved in the past, prior to a number of us being here. So, this is really just a housekeeping item to make sure that we're in compliance with our own bylaw.
Okay. So moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and seconded by Councillor Kenny, that council approves the amendment proposed this date to Schedule A of bylaw 3795/2020 and that council adopt the amending bylaw at the meeting of January 16th, 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. So moved by Councillor Kenny and seconded by Councillor Abbas that council approve the minutes of the committee of whole meeting of December 19th, 2023, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? And that's carried. Our bylaws. So our first bylaw is moved by Councillor Abbas, seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that bylaw 4040-2024, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 3795-2020, being a bylaw to establish and regulate a fire department, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 16th day of January 2024. All in favor? That's carried. Moved by Deputy Reeve Carroll and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4041-2024, being a bylaw to assume portions of various roadways into the township's road system for the township of Montague, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 16th day of January 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny, that bylaw 4042-2024, being a bylaw to authorize the execution of a development agreement with Austin Roberts Lurtz Wiseman, the owner of land legally described as part of lots 25 and 26, concession 8, Township of Montague, County of Lanark, designated as parts 1 to 3 on 27R 12210, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 16th day of January 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. We have no motion and notice of motion, so action items. The first item is Councillor Kenny, so moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council accept the 2023 Rideau Valley Conservation Authority remuneration of board member Councillor Kenny as information. All in favor? That's carried. Our next item is moving information 8A for do I have one to move that?
On the agenda.
So the coldest night of the year is coming up in February. I'm gonna put up the date. February 24th, from 5 till 7 p.m. Walkers will complete a 245-kilometer route, beginning with the sign-in at the first agent. And I'm just looking to see if there's any other members of council that are interested in walking with me on a 2-kilometer walk. Pull me in a wagon if you wish, but, yeah, so that's why I moved that up onto the agenda. But I will be there supporting for the walk. It is the Canadian Federation of University Women, CFUW, Perth and District. And it's for the privilege of organizing the coldest night of the year walk in Perth. So if there's anybody, there's also donation page for anybody who wants to donate. So that's the only reason I brought it forward, is anybody who wants to join me. So, okay. That would be that. So we have no unfinished business or other things. Oh, moved by Councillor Kenny, seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that council accepts the information items as information as presented this date. All in favor? Okay. Now we have no unfinished business or other business. Do we have any questions out of the audience? Any questions online? Okay. 2024 is going great. Moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Abbas, that bylaw 4043-2024, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of council at its regular meeting held on Tuesday, January 16th, 2024, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed, and sealed the 16th day of January 2024. All in favor? And that's carried. So moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Deputy Reeve Carroll, that council adjourn the regular meeting of January 16th, 2024 at 6:42 p.m. until February 6th, 2024 at 6 p.m. or at the call of the chair. All in favor? And that's carried.
We gotta read Jennings to, welcome back, everyone. The committee of the whole, so at the opening of the meeting, the land acknowledgement. The council and staff of the Township of Montague acknowledge that the sacred land on which the Township of Montague is now located and this meeting is being held, and this meeting is being held, is the ancestral and ceded territory of the Algonquin Shawnee Nation. So the adoption of the agenda, so moved by Councillor Abbas and seconded by Councillor Kenny, that the committee of the whole agenda dated January 16th, 2024 be approved as presented this date. All in favor? It's carried. No disclosure of interests, no delegations, and our first report is Mr. Rothwell, the Matson Drive cleanup exchange.
Thank you, Chair. So the report before you is the complete land transfer of Matheson Drive. So as noted in the report, this was 2019, with the realignment project. Just was never actually completed. We brought our report forward on the 5th of September in 2023 to get permission from council to proceed with this. It was expected to be about $5,500, and it's expected to come in underneath that. But we have proceeded and we've completed the agreement and sale portion, which has been signed. And now we're moving on to the closure and sale process. We have 180 days from data signature to complete this. And that's a condition of sale. So we will deem this land surplus and then it'll be transferred to the adjacent landowner and the same complete on the other side, which we're going to be assuming. There's a bylaw drafted for you on attached to this, which would be the one passed and signed and sealed by council. That's really the report. It's, you know, just one more thing cleaned up from before.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, no questions at all with this from council, I guess, right? Yeah, just a nice little cleanup. So thanks, Steve, for that. So moved by Councillor Kenny and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, the council direct staff to bring forward the bylaw to authorize the closure and sale of part of the east half of lot 23, concession 4, Montague, County of Lanark, designated as part 3 on plan 27R-11-450, subject to list interest in RS 25-787 being part of PIN number 05264-0113 to the February 6, 2024 meeting of council as per the draft bylaws presented at this date. All in favor? That's great. Next up is just the calendar. Sorry, I guess take it away, Allison, for the recent. Sorry, I thought it was something else.
Thank you, Chair. It is confusing. So this is just, again, a report that's not legislated, but this council had said, you know, the public transparency was very important to you. So I think just doing an annual report on the number of meetings we had, special meetings and in camera. So that's what's being presented with the previous couple of years. So you have seen the in-camera numbers have gone down substantially, as well as the special council meetings. So this is really just for information and for transparency.
Yeah, thanks, Allison. I think this is good information for people to have. I mean, I think this last year was pretty smooth as far as getting through and getting things done, and it's really good year for that. I think the previous years we had some things going on, and COVID also you know, brought in some discussions that had to be had and special meetings too as well. So thank God that's over. So many things a lot smoother for sure. So any questions on any of that? Obviously can't talk about passing cameras and all that kind of stuff, but seeing none, so that's good. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Reid Jennings that council accepts the overview of council meetings held in the 2023 year report as information. All in favor? That's carried. The next up is Allison again on the remuneration expenses.
Thank you, Chair. So this is a legislative report that the treasurer must bring before council each year before March 31st, as per section 2841 of the Municipal Act. So it lays out the remuneration and expenses from council So you will see ours attached as well as our local boards. So I'm gonna make note that Councillor Bass, his remuneration shows slightly more, and that's just from the per diems from going to some of the like Roma and AMO. So that's the only reason. Otherwise, nothing unusual to report here either.
Bruce, Sandra, any questions? Seeing none, so it's good. So moved by Reeve Jennings and seconded by Councillor Bass. The council accepts the approval and approve the statement of remuneration and expenses for 2023 as presented this date as information. All in favor? It's carried. Exciting news about the Rosedale Hall events in 2023. Take it away, Alison, again.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, this is a great news report, I think. The strategic plan that we will be redoing this year. It had stated, you know, that back then there was a survey that went out and people wanted to see the hall used more. They didn't want to get rid of it. They wanted to see it updated and used more. So the grants have updated it. Now the people are coming. So you will see with the agreement with the Fire Association, it does work really well with the bar as well. So this is a report that as per the agreement with the Fire Association, we bring on an annual basis. But it is showing that the numbers, inclusive of Fire Association with their weekly dart nights, rec and township events, with our senior grant, we had a couple of additional things going on like yoga and line dancing and things like that. That our total rentals for the year were 144, which is exceptional. I think that it's great that it's being used more often. It's had the highest amount of revenue that it's seen. Our financial system goes back to 2003. So since then, and we're getting a lot of compliments on the hall as well. So some of them obviously bring in revenue, some of them don't when they're ours. But based on the strat plan, and I think the understanding of council is that if we're paying hydro and it's there, let's use it. Let's make it a community location. So 2023 was an exceptional year, and the building was used a lot.
So if you build it, or in this case, pick it up, they will come, which is great, because I mean, this was one of those things I remember, even 5-6 years ago. What are we gonna do? Because it's like, it's falling apart. Do we grab hold of trying to figure out how to repair it? I mean, staff, kudos to them for, I mean, we knew grants was gonna be the answer for that, and kudos for going after that. So, I think that was a big discussion point those years back to see what is going to be the step for that. And I'm glad we did the direction that we did, because we see now a great location down there, and now it's the proof is the pudding back is that it's being used. So one thing, when we invested that to fix it, was it going to be used when we were done with it? And the answer now is showing that it's yes. So that's a positive feeling from that 5 years ago, 6 years ago discussion of what is going to be the right move to do. And I think we made the right decisions, and we're starting to see it more and more, and it's great to see. So
I think that survey.
Any questions to say?
I was gonna say, that survey was really well done. It was back then when that was on, and let the people make the decision, something like that. And now it's really worked out great with some of the, money we got from Allison and different ones here working on it. So I think it's excellent.
Great. That's good. So moved by Councillor Bass and seconded by Councillor Crabtree, that the council accepts the report in relation to the 2023 rentals as provided to the state as information. All in favor? And that's carried.
I add after too,
You sure can.
just to say too, the volunteer hours of our fire department in doing some work inside. I mean, yes, we've had grants to do work, but the fact that they've done so much to improve it, and it's great the amount of volunteer hours that they're giving to the community as well.
They've done some great stuff with the dartboards getting up there. The bar is like beautiful now. Like, it's not the trinky dinky thing. It looks really, really sharp. You're 100% right. I mean, they've done a great job at cleaning that up. So very well good one. Next one is fees and charges bylaw. Allison.
Thank you, Chair. It's kind of a combination of all of us, but so on an annual basis, we will bring the fee, at least on an annual basis, the fees and charges will come forward to council as things change and as they progress, or issues arise, or just adjusting with the economy. So we are bringing forward a number of adjustments to the current fees and charges bylaw to be discussed by council. Some of them are more simple than others. We don't have a township crest, so that can come off. The township pins are the old pins and we tend to give them away anyways because we have hundreds, if not thousands of them. So we do give them, I know that some Boy Scout and Girl Guide groups have asked for them to give away, I guess, as pins. So we're happy to give those away. So it'd be nice if it just says free because that's what we tend to do with them anyhow. The blue boxes are gonna be Well Supplies last because of the transition. We are no longer the supplier of the blue boxes to new builds. Amterra is that supplier. We don't have yellow boxes, so we took those off. Garbage tags are changing to the $6 as per the recommendation from last year. So those are fairly simplistic ones. The confirmation of taxes receipts, so reprinting of a tax bill has been in it for $15. To be honest, with the change with technology, we get a lot of just requests by email. It's really difficult to say you have to come into the office to pay us before we can send you, or pay on your tax bill and then we have to do the administration side. It really is just easier for us to send them a copy by email. It takes very minimal time for the number that we get requested, and then changing, if it's a reprint in at the office, it's $5. So it covers our fee and covers our kind of time for that. Similar to the water billing, we're looking at reducing that to $5, and if it's by email, no charge. We want to encourage people to move to the email anyways. And if they start getting that by email, they may transition to getting the bills by email. So we're hoping that that will assist there. The hall rentals, so the liability insurance, we've switched with insurance. So we've switched. So basically all rentals will be through us. We get a much better rate. So they just have to plug into our municipal site what they are. We get charged. We automatically put up a $5,000 upfront on our insurance for all of the events that may go through there. And that is why we charge the additional for the bar. So right now, this will be our first year with this new approach. And we will monitor to make sure that the $50 extra for the BART events covers the insurance for that. So far, based on the rates that we have for the year, there should be no issues. So that everything's covered, it's still in their name, but it's through, and then we also have record and copy of everything that's getting done. And other municipalities already go this route. The smaller ones are starting to go that way as well. Kennel licenses, so they're being adjusted based on the animal control bylaw that we reviewed earlier this year and adjusted and making those adjustments. The camping park license, that's basically, we only have one currently that we do. And $25 doesn't necessarily cover the costs for us to review and do each year. So we're asking for $100 for that. Public Works has a number of changes as far as some of the costs there. So they are all labeled. Entrance permits are probably some of the biggest changes. And I think it's because, it's because we get a number of individuals coming in. The Public Works manager has to go out, site visit, give what is determined for the municipality that we're looking for. We've had a number of individuals who don't follow that. And then we have to make multiple trips back. It's multiple visits and inspections to follow through. So some of those changes are to ensure that we're covering the cost, as that's more of a user fee service for those. He can speak to them though. The hourly rate for the equipment is just to make sure we're not competing with any kind of private. If we're billing that out to the city of Ottawa, we need to be comparable as far as what others would be charging the city of Ottawa. That's where we use a lot of that. And even at that, we're substantially lower than their contractors. We did include a note under the fire side of things because it wasn't in here, that for private events, that the fire chief has the ability to charge an hourly rate of $150 an hour if the event is private and the charges for entry. So different whenever it's a public event and it's a community event, but they get asked, an example is the Fall for Merrickville, where there's an entry fee. And they get asked to donate their time and go there, and those are our resources as well. That they would be able to charge an hourly rate for events like that. Cause the OPP charge for those types of events, the other services charge, that they should be able to also charge a small fee to go to those events because it is a charged entry. And it's more of a private event. So that's a note in there that at least gives the fire chief the ability to charge that out when asked for those types of things. Because usually it's for the day and the volunteer firefighters have to bring their own food, do their own things. None of that's covered. So we need to make sure that they're looked after while they're there. Question.
Yeah, that's Allison, you good? If we open up for questions, Jim, you had something?
I just, we were talking about the pins for the township. Do we have any new pins?
No, we do not. Is there an interest from council?
Well, what I was gonna say is I wanna get a handful at least of the old ones, and if there's lots here, because at conferences, there's still a lot of senior council members that hand them out to different areas, because a lot of people like them, so. You'll learn, and I'll teach you.
Is there an interest from our council to get some more lapel pins of the new Montague M?
I don't know what. I mean, I don't mind using the old ones, it's just,
They have lots of the.
if I had an old shirt on, and someone get a heckler wearing the old shirt, well, it's still brand new, you know, so I can probably get heckler, use the wrong pin.
I'd say let's get started with the ones first before we.
Okay,
You never get-
We'll get rid of the, we'll get rid of the 1,500.
none of us will be here. Yeah, okay.
I took them to AMO last year to
Yeah.
try and get rid of them, but I didn't get a log on. I tried.
Any other questions at all? I think I like the suggestion of when people are asking for reprints and that kind of stuff to go through email. I mean, I know for myself, that's where I've been getting my tax bill through email, everything else, and I think it's so much better than even a lot of the seniors like to get it through the email too as well, so it's, yeah. But I mean, the nice thing about it, I'm a big fan of it, because you never have to ask for a reprint, because if I forget it or I lose it, it says go back to my email and it's there, right? So I mean, it's like, if you ever lose it, it's always there, so just to throw that out there. Oh, Jim's got something.
I lose it off my email all the time, but I don't lose it when I get a piece of paper. I don't know what happened to my phone, but
So we're gonna teach Jim a few things about the email. Those things, and I'm sure he loses papers all the time, but I do have some questions, maybe a little bit like I'm curious about the entrance permits, everything else, and I completely understand, there's some big changes there. But I'm assuming a lot of that is really just to cover the costs. That's really what we're looking to do overall.
I stayed by the clerk, yeah, we're definitely trying to charge a rate that staff is putting in these and make sure that we're recovering costs that staff is not spending on other items, as this is completed by the public works manager. It does take significant time to complete this. And it's very a large amount of time when there's one individual looking after this, and site visits, discussions, a lot of questions are put into these things. And you know, I think what we put forward is current with 7 other municipalities that I use. This isn't strictly just public works manager's opinion, it's kind of told all the different municipalities, and this is pretty well average of what we have.
I love asking Steve questions, because his answers are to the point and bang on and well thought out, and clearly has done the research of it. So I think that really clears up a lot of that right away. So thanks, Steve, for just kind of explaining that real quick too as well. And that was really good for me. Any other questions or comments? Yes.
Comment.
Yes.
So I subscribe to a lot of the Leonard County municipalities, and I see then all their postings, and they as well have been bringing forward in January, the same as we are, updating all of their fees and charges. So I agree that I've seen these coming across as well. So, yeah, it's just standard business.
That's perfect. Yeah. And I think that's, it's great that we at least elaborated that discussion to make sure if there's any questions about that, saying this, you got a complete understanding of behind it. So no, I think that's great when we're raising those rates, that we make sure we really acknowledge and have that discussion to make sure we understand it. So.
The only chair through you, so our building fees and charges are not on, it's a separate bylaw that hasn't been amended or changed since 2006. So currently working on that as well. That will be coming forward. There will be public input, a public meeting as per the building code for that, or the act. So that is also on our list. We are also looking at that right now. Because we are substantially lower, and we are running in deficit in our building department. So that will also be coming forward. It's just not this evening, but it will be shortly, just so you know.
So I hint to everybody get their stuff in right now before you have.
Won't say that. But I think that's an important part because, I mean, we discussed this a couple of years ago about making sure that all of our planning and our building it's at a cost neutral. And we've actually talked about this at the county too as well. That's, and that there's a lot more, I don't want to say issues, because it might come out properly, but at the county as far as, and we're addressing it with our planning stuff where like things are being charged, we don't know if it's covering the cost and all that kind of idea. And I know Reed Jennings and I had extensive conversations about those two departments. It's about cost recovery. We don't want to overcharge people, but we also don't want the taxpayer to be paying for that too as well. So we have to make sure that we're bang on. So I'm glad that we're continuing looking at those charges, because that's it's got to be that cost neutral side of it. And I think that's a very important that, and clearly our staff are doing a good job at looking at that in depth and making sure that they're charging appropriately and making sure that the taxpayer is not paying for it, but we're also not overcharging. So I think that's great, and we look forward to the other charges. So any other comments or questions? None, seeing none. So moved by Councillor Crabtree and seconded by Councillor Kenny. The council directs staff to bring the draft bylaw presented to this date to be approved at the February 6, 2024 council meeting. All in favor? And that's carried. So the next is a long one here, but the appointment of the Rideau Corridor Landscape Strategy.
Yes, thank you, Chair. So a request came forward from Rideau Corridor Landscape Strategy, looking for their steering committee to reassemble. So they haven't met for a number of years. So they're looking for one municipal council representative from each of the municipalities or organizations. The terms of reference, their summary presentations, all of their information is attached. So the previous council term was Reeve Dobson was on, and Councillor Straight was the alternate for the committee. The the planners group, obviously our junior planner will be sitting on that group as far as that goes, but we're looking for a council rep.
Thanks, Allison. I mean, I recall, Craig, you're right, like, the last meeting was how many years ago?
2020, I believe.
There was one, okay, so Reed Dobson did go to one in 2020, and there might have been one before, that might have been years and years before that. Like, this is something that we might see a meeting. If we see two, it'd be probably crazy in the next 3 years. But it is still an important committee to be a part of. So is there any interest from anybody to be part of that committee? Or to be on that? I'm seeing that.
Yeah, fire me on it.
I was gonna say either one, I can do it or you
So
can
you'll
do
be
it.
my alternate?
Sure,
Yep.
so like, whatever, we'll do
Yep.
that. Okay, we'll work together as far as
Yep.
that goes, so that, we don't have an alternate on this, but
Well, we can add that,
we can just add that,
the
so,
same as we had alternate here.
yeah, so that the council appoint, Reed Jennings.
Yeah.
So like,
Alternate.
oh, so that.
Pardon you.
Well, we have fun up here. The council appointed Reeve Jennings, alternate Jeffrey Carroll, I guess I should have Deputy Carroll, whatever. To the Rideau Corridor Landscape, a strategy steering committee, for the township of Montague. And the council director, clerk administrative advice, Tom Green, which is hilarious, as the coordinator secretary for the Rideau Corridor, landscape strategy. All in favor? And that's carried. We have no reports of committees, no petitions, no motions, not finished business, all that kind of stuff. Now, before we adjourn, is there any burning questions from the audience online? Mr. May?
when you're talking about the prices for different things for the township, for entrance permits, for road entrance and stuff like that. Now, the township is for the township roads, but that's not what's counted costs on county roads in the township.
So as I guess referred the question, is we had looked around, is the county charge different on county roads, or is that,
Yeah, right now, they're obviously under different user fees and charges, right? We have no control over what they charge on their roadways. I did review, we're fairly close. Theirs hasn't been updated. I did speak with their public works manager, and they're actually in the process of working towards updating theirs. I don't know where theirs is gonna land. I would guess it's probably likely gonna be more than what ours is going to be.
probably, yeah.
But they are working towards that, and a lot of people haven't updated these in a long time, so I imagine you're gonna see a pretty big jump in a lot of them as well. But, again, we're road authority for Montague Road, so we can't really include anything for county.
No, I'm just wondering, like, when you listed it in here, maybe you should say, these are for the township roads and county roads, are, like, listed on your, when you're listing the cost of the different things, that there is two different prices for people in the township. There could be. Because if you compare a commercial entrance off a county road to a commercial entrance off a township road, there's a major difference right now.
And I mean, I don't really know if we have to include that, because we don't even consult on anything to do with
So,
county roads.
so Chair through you, yeah, so, it's a township bylaw, so we can't actually, we wouldn't put any kind of county fees on our bylaw, because if they change it, they don't need. We then would have to change our.
Oh, I don't mean put their fee on there, just state that if you're on a county road, these fees only apply to the township roads. And it doesn't apply to the county roads. Just so if somebody coming into the township would know that there is, because they might look at the fee and say, oh, it's so much for it. And then when they go to do it, oh, they're on Roger Street. Oh, that's a county road. Oh, you're gonna pay a lot more. Or a lot less.
More like a note for you to refer to.
You know, just clarification.
It says,
So people coming in that don't know.
Refer to note this, it's not one of our roads, it works with the same thing, you're just saying that.
Yeah, so yeah, people do call and we do direct them to the county. To be honest, they call and complain here all the time for county roads for everything. So, I mean, I guess that on the fees and charges bylaw, we can put roads municipal only.
Or like county roads.
They're still gonna ask the question, but it's good for.
Nobody reads our bylaws,
That's the biggest thing.
so that's the biggest thing is like, they always just call,
Calling.
right? And our website specifically says that it's, I believe it does.
Split in 3 different spots,
Yeah.
county, township, and.
Ministry.
Ministry.
Yeah, so, I mean, it is there on the, I'm sure it's on the website.
In 2 places, and it's split out 3 ways in both places.
Yeah, so I mean, this is only a municipal bylaw, so I don't disagree with you, it's just people aren't reading them anyways, and they're gonna follow us no matter what we put, so.
She basically asking, do you want the asterisk, Tom, that it says?
No, I just, cause I looked up the cost of some of the things from on a county road to a township road. But when I looked on the agenda, when it lists what, for roads, it doesn't say or township roads. And where it says roads, you should say, just say township roads.
Right, but the first line of the bylaw says being a bylaw to establish user fees and charges administered by the Corporation of Township of Montague. So we have nothing for county.
But
Cause county has all different fees similar to us that. they
until I
charge.
started coming to council meetings, I didn't realize that county roads and township roads were different. I figured all roads in the township were township roads.
And I think right now.
And I think a lot of people are the same way.
I think most people, if you ask, they don't even know that, like, that Rosedale is a county road and not a,
I don't know
Gotcha,
Highway 15
but-
is in ours.
and yeah, we have an Ontario, like, I mean, yeah, like it's a.
Extension 210 sees a lot of complaints,
Yeah.
regarding county, and I mean, I screen and our receptionists, they screen a lot of calls. And anything that's relating to MTO county, we provide numbers and send them in the right direction. We're definitely not gonna not help a resident out. But I do think we tried our best as a whole to try and help people go in the right direction on where they need to actually seek help.
And to Chair Street, to be honest, most even phone calls I get about taxation, people don't even understand that they're paying school board or county. They think it's all to us, so, you know, we try to communicate out, but you can't make anyone read anything, so.
We have these there, so they're there for,
It's really no different than our planning.
yeah.
County has planning fees and we have planning fees, so, I don't know.
They're good tools for you to direct people to.
That's what they're, at the end of the day, that's what they're there for.
So you can forward it to them or say, hey, please look at this.
So ultimately, is council looking for some kind of note that it's only township roads, or, I mean, our bylaw specifically says it's township fees and charges, but we're.
Yeah, I mean, I hear what Tom is saying, but I think we also do have it saying that it's the township roads, and let's see if somebody else, questions that in the future, too, as well, I guess, would be my thoughts. So, but I think that's a valid question, Tom, and I think, especially from somebody that comes in has a really good understanding of what the different roads are and where everything is, but like, I think, most don't, and they're gonna ask that question. So, that's a good question, though. Any other questions? Any online? Any online? And none. That was pretty quick, guys. I thought we were gonna be a little bit later after reading everything on there, but this is great. So let's close up for the night. And is it Edmonton Toronto game? It's that's it. Like it's 9 o'clock tonight. Though. I think it's there in Edmonton. Yeah, so nothing important. Yeah. So a lot of that will be for important stuff. First, could you say that later? So moved by Reed Jennings, and seconded by Councilor Abbas, the committee of the whole meeting, January 16, 2024, now be adjourned at 7:16 PM. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you, everyone. Everybody have a great night. Stay warm.